With little time to spare, the committee began its sittings late in the evening. The participants had been waiting for a whole day for the Elections Amendment Bill that had come from the National Assembly to be tabled in the Senate and for it to be delegated to the Legal Affairs Committee for public participation. The Law Society of Kenya has criticized the manner in which the bill was passed in the National Assembly and the wording which it says creates ambiguity because the complementary system that has been proposed has not been defined.
By using that term that isn't properly defined, leaving the deployment of this mechanism to the Commission, and by the introduction of this piece of legislation in the circumstances that it has been introduced is what I believe will lead to growing suspicion as to what this complementary mechanism is.
The Society also says that there should have been dialogue and a bipartisan approach in debating and passing the bill.
Consensus may fail, but I think to approach a discussion as important as this with the anticipation of failure isn't the proper way to look for consensus.
The opposition had said that they would call for mass action beginning next week should the bill be signed into law. However, the Legal Affairs Committee, led by Amos Wako, is supposed to table its report to the Senate during another special sitting on the day the demonstrations are scheduled.
The Standing Committee on Legal Affairs and Human Rights must therefore proceed with dispatch and be ready to table its report on 4th January 2017, when the Senate is expected to assemble for the special sitting.
The Speaker, Ekwe Ethuro, had made the decision, saying that such a vital bill could not be passed without public input, and in any case, it would have been difficult to go through all the steps of legislation in one sitting.
Let us remember that the matter must be settled here. This matter cannot be settled in the streets. I urge that those calling for street demonstrations now withdraw those demonstrations until and unless they are sure that the committee has not made the correct decision, or forever and ever, which would be preferable.
And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge every Kenyan, Mr. Speaker, and more so members of the Senate and the National Assembly, that you might have different views. But, Mr. Speaker, you must be able to speak out and convince your colleagues, Mr. Speaker. But at the end of the day, if consensus does not work, we resort to a vote. And, Mr. Speaker, if you lose in a democratic process where there is a vote, you must be willing to abide by the will of the majority, Mr. Speaker.
It's extremely important to give respect to consociational democracy, which goes to underlie the principle of inclusiveness. If we insist on this issue of majority having their way where the minority have their say, that is what leads to conflicts and anarchy. And the basis of the committee that drafted these bills and these laws that came to this house, and we were told not to remove a comma or add a full stop, was because of consociational democracy that committee exercised.
The different approach taken by the Senate on this matter appears to have calmed some nerves, and focus will now be on the opposition to see whether it will proceed with the demonstrations next year. Earlier, the Senate Speaker had ordered for the withdrawal of police officers who had barricaded Parliament and who were not allowing the senators to drive into the premises.
Along the Kerio Valley, we have problems where some cat rustling has become a menace for about 2 or 3 months now. Mr. Speaker, these giant machines that have blocked the roads should actually be taken there today. And any other place, border of Kenya and Somalia, we need these machines to be taken there.
The Speaker ordered for the Security Committee to investigate who had ordered the police to be present in the precincts of Parliament in the first place. Andrew Ochieng, NTV.